she's not cackling in her villainy. ... yet. Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we're inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And this week we read a chapter. It was the last chapter in the arc, which I will definitely remember. Parasite, 10.6.
That's right. An arc ender.
Yeah, a lot happened.
There's so much stuff. I feel like it's both a lot of plot and some really interesting, like, what is this, trying to say?
Stuff.
A lot of interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah, most of the chapters this arc were like quick action-y chapters, and then this one, all of a sudden, it's like all of the sort of fallout from this fight.
Yeah, and a lot of setup, and it's a big one. Any other thoughts before we dive in?
I don't know if what we see is what we get here with Taylor's plan, but if it is, I feel like she's making a huge mistake.
Ooh,
I feel like this is an incredibly stupid decision.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into that more.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you want me to tell you what happened in it?
I would love to hear what happened.
Okay, so Taylor storms into the fight and she's going up to Bitch. Tattletale grabs her shoulder. She still wants to fight Bitch, but there's some stuff going on with the battle. Miss Militia is there along with Triumph and Assault. And Miss Militia sets off some kind of smoke grenade, and Taylor's like...
Battery's there, too.
Oh, Battery's there, too?
I think it's the whole protectorate that we know of.
Oh, you're right. Okay, there are 4 of them. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Weld is there, too.
Right. Velocity and Harness Master out of commission. So these
kind
are
of
the
a lot
4.
of them, actually.
Yeah.
But we don't really hear much about this fight. Miss Militia does, like, a smoke grenade, and Taylor's like, ooh, is that bug spray? Like, that would make sense. But no, it's just smoke, and she thinks, oh, yeah, beekeepers use smoke to control bees, and maybe that's what she's doing? Okay, but it just makes them want to follow their instincts to retreat, and I can override that easily. So she does, and sends bugs after Miss Militia. Miss Militia's coming towards them. And she's like, okay, guys, she's coming. And then Miss Militia hears that and shoots Taylor with a shotgun. She's kind of okay, but she's, like, injured, but not too seriously.
It was non-lethal ammo as well. Yeah.
And Taylor sends some of her bugs after Miss Militia, the ones with the pepper spray on them, and it kind of distracts her enough to recover a little bit. She touches base with Tattletale and Gru, tells them that the dragon is gone, tells Gru where the Protectorate members are physically right now, but is like, I just kind of got shot, so I'm not up for running after them. So she and Tattletale retreat a few blocks. Tattletale sends some messages, presumably to Gru and Coil, and then apologizes for leaving Taylor in there with Dragon and the gun. And Taylor's like, no, the gun thing was a good idea. The reason I didn't get out was... And then she doesn't actually say it. They sit there in silence. The rest of the group eventually shows up, and Taylor attacks Bitch. Bitch looks like her eyes widen. She's surprised to see Taylor there. And Taylor hits her with the baton, knocks her down. The others kind of move in like they're going to stop Taylor, and Taylor tells them not to. And Taylor gets her baton into Bitch's mouth. Bitch is kind of opening her mouth, like stretching her jaw because Taylor hit her, and Taylor gets her baton in there, holding it open and pressing Bitch down, and gets Regent to send Shadowstalker away because she wants to talk to Bitch, but she doesn't want Sophia to recognize her voice. So Shadowstalker goes some distance away, and Taylor tells the others what Bitch did, that she pushed Taylor into the foam when Taylor was trying to escape from Dragon. She tells Bitch that she's a coward, that Bitch did the thing to her that Taylor almost did to the rest of them. And she says, this vendetta is going to end. She says that the punishment for Bitch is that when Bitch is tossing and turning at night, remembering this, getting mad, she should remember that she was the coward who didn't take Taylor on face to face. And Taylor is the one who took the fight face to Bitch. And she says, if you try this again, you should know better than to underestimate me. If I survive, I will do much worse to you than this. So if you do it again, it better be really good. And then she offers Bitch a deal. She says, if you continue this vendetta, I've told you what happens, not a good idea for you. I'd like to call us even. We both stabbed each other in the back, basically. I'd like to put this behind us, and that's the only way we can function as a team. I'm going to treat you as a teammate, but I'd like to do one better. I'd like to help you with your dogs, buy you lunch, all of that. I would like to be your friend. Take it or leave it. Bitch walks away. Taylor's like, I guess she's leaving it. But, basically, bitch just walks away. That's the only resolution we get. So then we move on to, Gru says we better figure out what to do with Shadowstalker. Imp suggests keeping her. Regent's like, no, it's a bad idea. I can't control people while I sleep. Taylor has this exchange with him where she's like, also, it's kind of fucked up. And he's like, I thought you were all in. And also, why are you arguing with me? I'm saying we should get rid of her. Not get rid of her as in kill her. Just, let her loose from her bonds. So we also learned that he used to keep people, he had 3 people he kept around the clock with his sister's help. So, wow. Yeah. So he lets Shadowstalker go, and she immediately points the crossbow at him, and he says, no. The thing is, once I've had control of someone, once I've learned their mind, I can do it again much faster, and he takes control of her again and gets her to point the crossbow at her own temple. It's a tranquilizer dart, but still. He says, next time I get control, I'm keeping you for a full day. Here's the funny part. I'll do it even if I'm in my civilian clothes. You won't know when it's going to happen. You are a liability to the wards unless you leave, skip town, join another team. And then he says, okay, we're going to walk you off to the edge of the city before I let you go, just to make everyone more comfortable. And so that's kind of the end of the Shadowstalker thing for the moment. They go and meet Coil to give him the USB drives. He's in a building in the docks, a lot like the one the Undersiders are staying in. It has the same sort of reinforcement on the inside. Sandbags, plastic sheeting to keep it dry, metal panels to keep it safe. There are a bunch of people with him, a couple of people who might be capes, some people who look like teenagers, some professional adults. It's kind of a big hodgepodge of people. Dinah is there. She looks vaguely drugged. Tattletale gives Coil the USB. I guess it's just one USB stick. For some reason, I thought it was multiple. I don't know why I thought that. Apologies for pluralizing it.
She might have had one for data and one for the virus and one, I don't know.
Oh, that might be the case. Yeah. But she has one USB stick she retrieved. Coil gives it to his data expert guy. We don't know who it is at the moment. And he says, this is corrupted and it's encrypted.
Herman Dates, the data guy.
It should be Herman Dates. It's probably like Epeos or whatever, but Herman Dates, yes.
It's dumb. I'm sorry.
Never apologize for dumb wordplay. So he says it's corrupted. It was pulled out at the 97% mark. It's also encrypted. It'll take a few days. And Coil's like, it was Dragon's work. It's going to take a week. Let Tattletale help you. And he says his top priority is getting data on the Slaughterhouse 9. And Taylor's like, oh no, he's not recruiting them, is he? Turns out no, he just knows they're in the city, and he's worried about them encountering his teams. And so he asks Dinah what the likelihood is of that, and she's like, who? So we get a rundown on the members of the Slaughterhouse 9. It turns out there just are only 8 of them right now, because there's a lot of turnover. It's a very, volatile group. But we get a description of a bunch of the individuals, including Jack Slash, who's the person who holds the group together. And Dinah says when she sees that picture, she's like, oh, it's him, the one who makes everyone die. Exactly. Everyone has kind of a strong reaction to that. They're like, what do you mean? Everyone here? And she's like, no, everyone. Sometimes it's in 2 years. Sometimes it's 8. Sometimes in between, but if he's alive, something happens and everyone on Earth starts to die. There's some caveats. She's like, yeah, not necessarily everyone, but most people. And everyone's like kind of trying to take that in. Gru's like, all he can do is a space warping effect on blades. How is that going to make everyone die? Dinah says apparently there's a very high 83.4% likelihood that he will do this if he lives. 30% chance-ish that someone will kill him before he leaves the city. If he is killed, it doesn't happen until 15 years from now. But it always happens, whatever this thing is.
Okay.
Sometimes it's more successful than other times. Sometimes more people live, but millions or billions always die when it happens. So Coil asks some questions about, what if I send my teams up against the Slaughterhouse 9? Travelers do a little better than Undersiders, but neither of them does well. High chance that a bunch of them will die. So Gru suggests we should tell the local heroes. Coil's like, okay, I'll look into it. In the meantime, if you see members of the Slaughterhouse 9, just leave. Don't finish the job you're doing. Give up whatever territory you have to. I want you alive. Don't try to face off against them. Then he segues to talking about their bases of operation. He has, I guess, 5 different bases for the 6 of them. Gru and Imp are going to be sharing this one. And he has appointed staff for Tattletale, people to look into data stuff for her. He set up her headquarters with computers. And for Bitch, he has these 2 capes, Barker and Biter, who profess to be fearless and can help manage the dogs. And then these 3 college students who have some training in veterinary medicine or handling dogs. So this is Bitch's staff. And in these cases, it's like, you can take or leave them, but they're provided for them. And with the rest of them, he's like, I encourage you to get staff, but I'll let you start that process on your own. If you want to hire someone, I'll pay them. Skitter's headquarters are close to her old house, and she's like, ooh, does he know who I am? She's a little unnerved. He says what he requires from them right now is that they establish order and some measure of control over their territories. Gru says, we might have questions later, but that's kind of it for now. Taylor says she wants to talk to him in private. So the others leave. Coil and Taylor talk. He says to Taylor, Tattletale told you that I knew about your identity from the beginning, and she's like, yeah. And she says that Tattletale didn't tell her how he knew. So she's withholding a little information there. She tells him she's made a decision about her price, and it's that after he's established control of the city, he releases Dinah to her family. And Coil is like, well, that doesn't seem like a very fair deal. No offense, but she seems more valuable to me than you. But I'll accept it if you prove to me that your talents are worth losing hers. Taylor seems like she takes that kind of hard. And she leaves. She is feeling really frustrated, but very resolute. She ends the chapter saying, and the arc, saying, whatever I had to do, I was going to help that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know if we should take Taylor's thing at face value. Like, even if she has some other plan, it might be worth it to see if she can get him to release Dinah voluntarily. But, is she delusional?
Yeah.
Why would she think she can get someone who's willing to kidnap Dinah and keep her like this? Why does she think she can strike a fair deal with him?
Yeah. The word that jumped out to me is that her request of him seemed so pathetic. It starts out like, I swallowed, felt an ugly feeling in my gut. I know that she's so valuable to you. He didn't respond. He just stared at me, his mask-lacking eye holes, just black cloth stretched over eye sockets. All I'm asking is that you let her go when you've done it. When you take the city, when you succeed, you release her to go home. If you do that, I'll work for you. I'll try harder than anyone to get the city under your control, and then I'll work for you as long as you'll have me afterward. And I'm with you. What is she hoping for, right? She is clearly emotionally devastated because he initially says no, and then her heart sinks. And then he says, but maybe you can prove that you're more valuable to me.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's not naively like, great, then I'll do that. She just nods numbly and leaves without talking about it. And then she's thinking this at the end. So she might be sort of aware of how deluded or pathetic it is, based on her emotions. But she's definitely not well, I have to ask Coil for something or he won't, he'll be wondering what my price is and that might make him more suspicious of me, right? She's not operating from a place of calculated confidence.
No. It does make some sense that if she's thinking of it in the context of okay, well, he offered me anything. Oh, all I'm going to ask for is this one girl. This is so much lower a price than I could ask for. Maybe in that context, she's like, oh yeah, he'll give it to me. But in the context of take me instead of this other valuable asset, she's really asking him to weigh the two of them against each other.
Yeah.
And I don't, she hasn't proven herself useful enough for that. And Dinah is so useful.
Yeah.
And also, there's no reason he shouldn't think he can just keep both of them.
Yeah.
The thing is, if he establishes control over the city, what's she gonna do if he says no at that point?
Yeah.
She's just, it almost feels like someone who, this isn't quite the right vibe, but it feels almost like an abusive relationship where you're like, oh, but if I do this thing, they'll be good to me.
Yeah.
This guy has proven himself incredibly ruthless. why do you think that this deal will hold him, especially when he's made it extremely conditionally?
Yeah. There's a few things that I'm thinking in response to that. I mean, one is a little bit this, like, I wonder if there's something that she's really struggling with in returning to the Undersiders and setting herself up under Coil that, you know, it makes her feel so bad. It is hard for her to accept what she's doing, even if she's doing it transactionally, even if she has some hope of rescuing Dinah, you know, without Coil's permission or whatever your sort of theory is. But so this, like, going through the motions is like sort of a desperate attempt to be like, maybe it's not as bad as I fear it is, or that I know it is. It's like a little bit, it's a little bit naive, but maybe it's just coming from a place of being so unwilling to acknowledge the pit that she has stepped into.
I mean, a couple of things. First, what she's asking for is also not good enough. Like, Dinah stays in his control until he takes over the city. How long does she think that's going to take? When is he going to feel like his control is solid enough that, like, he can say that process is over?
Yeah.
Like, aim higher, Taylor. But also, she's being so, not exactly short-sighted, but so narrow-minded. Like, she set up Dinah as this one person she has to save. So she's what? Gonna do, like, infinite other crimes in order to save this one person? What about all the other people she's gonna hurt?
Yeah.
What if he kidnaps other people? Is she gonna, like, torture and kill people for him just for the sake of saving this one girl? Like, that's so backwards in terms of priorities. Right. Like, she set up Dinah as the one moral good.
Yeah, and right, she was complicit in the kidnapping here.
Right, but she's going to be complicit in a lot of other things.
Right, no, exactly. So it's like, oh, just kidnap 2 Dinahs and you can have this one. You know, right? Like, it's not... But there's something in what you're saying also that takes me back to our conversation about Dinah as the girl in Omelas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the girl who, by being stuck in a hole in the city, brings luck to the whole city. And some people, you know, refuse and walk away or whatever. And then, you know, it does seem like Taylor is choosing here, like, well, I'm going to get the girl out of the hole at any cost. Mm-hmm. But anytime you're doing a moral calculus like that and you're willing to put infinity on one side of the scale, you're probably making a miscalculation.
I mean, in Omelas, at least it is just one kid who's suffering. Like, in this case, although, I mean, I guess if you rescue that kid, more people will suffer. So it's a little more complicated. But, like, in this case,
right.
Are you not going to help anyone else because you're only helping this one person? Like, it's so defeatist of her if she's really thinking, like, the only way to rescue Dinah is to, like, suck up to Coil for potentially years.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a bad plan.
Yeah.
Like, is that really worse than siding with, like, some heroes maybe, or trying to defeat Coil with your friend? Like, is that really worse?
Yeah. I mean, you can also read it as this arc is...
Actually, I guess I meant, is that really better? Like, is that really better?
Yeah. I mean... I think you could also read this arc, or where we got to here, as a real defeat for Taylor. Like, we talked, I think, about how disappointed we would be if she ended up capitulating after her Arc 8 moment and kind of like, well, I'll go back. I can see the story where she's like, okay, well, I got my old team back, even though they don't like me, and I'm working for Coil, you know, but I have a plan to save Dinah, even though it's not a good one.
Years,
you know,
potentially away, and
so it's sort of like,
through.
Well, I mean, it again, it sounds a little bit like an abusive dynamic, but it's like she tried going out on her own, but through Lisa talking to her, through struggling on the streets, it's like, yeah, just being drawn back in. Yeah, it's just, you know, this is comfortable, right? She likes villainy. She likes the stuff that she likes about being on the Undersiders, and what rationalization can you come up with? And so, right, so how much of this is just a rationalization of like, well, I think so well of myself that I can prove myself to Coil, and get Dinah, you know.
Right, an excuse to go back to villainy. But she can tell herself, in the end, it's for the good of this one girl, therefore.
Yeah.
I mean, it is purity and Kaiser, right?
Yeah.
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 She was struggling on her own.
Right. Right. I'm not able to do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
but
running
Taylor's
out of time.
a stronger person in what we've seen from her so far than Purity. At least I want to think so. And so I hope that she doesn't settle for this. I hope she at least comes up with a better plan than like, maybe he'll change his mind. Like,
yeah. I do want to offer, because you had laid out your theory so beautifully earlier this arc. One bright, shining detail that I appreciated is we get confirmation in this chapter that there are secrets between Lisa and Taylor. We know Taylor knows about Coil's power, and she lies to Coil's face here, saying,
that's
like,
true.
I don't know. Right? So that's a reminder. You know, maybe it didn't go beyond just kind of that one conversation, but we do have this reminder that she's not like totally being open with him. So that's great. And I was also thinking about, it felt notable that she is saying this in front of Dinah. Dinah is like a prop here, and Taylor doesn't think about
That's
it.
Interesting.
But hopefully she's with it enough to know.
like, oh, someone
that,
wants to rescue me.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I sort of feel like maybe if that was at top of her mind, we would have heard something about it. But I feel like that's a relevant detail. I also think ending the chapter with her, you know, feeling bad, you know, she has to go through with the ask. She's like trying to work the refs, and it doesn't work. I do wonder if part of her feeling here is like, it could be a mismatch between a desire and the lack of a plan, right? It's sort of like, if in this moment she's not saying, okay, cool, you know, all I have to do is be awesome and Coil will give me Dinah. If she's thinking, like, there's no way this is going to work, I need a better plan, but I don't know what it is. And she's kind of like, it's going to be hard. Like, it's sitting with the reality. Maybe she even got her hopes up a little bit, right? But it's going to be
She's not saying at the
hard.
end, okay, I'm just going to do whatever Coil wants forever in the hopes that that he'll let Dinah go.
And and I have some other thoughts about this that connect to other parts of the chapter. One is, I feel like there's been a question in this arc, why are they doing this? And I have left this arc being like, okay, wow, the Undersiders are pretty much untouchable. They can do a really crazy, reckless plan. They can fight off all of the wards, Dragon, and the whole Protectorate, and get out with, you know, basically a perfect score. They are willing to up their profile when they would have been able to lay low. And I kind of feel like if Taylor's like, okay, well, we gotta rise in Coil's esteem to be able to influence him ASAP, that's a great reason for her to be willing to go along with such a harebrained scheme. And so I could imagine there's a sort of like, okay, well, why are they doing this plan? Why is Taylor okay with it? Well, it's like, okay, well, we'll do something totally crazy that we shouldn't be able to do, and that will earn us some respect or whatever, right? And so maybe part of it was just like she was hoping that Coil would be more impressed. And instead he's like, great, you got the data, you know, whatever. The other thing that I was thinking about, though, is that the chapter is a little bit of like a grab bag of like, we're just doing all the stuff. We're wrapping up the arc. We're setting up future stuff. But it's centered around 3 power struggles. You get Taylor and Bitch, you get Regent and Shadowstalker, and then you get Taylor and Coil.
Ooh, yeah.
And the Taylor and... We'll definitely talk about the other things, but the Taylor and Coil interaction is the one where there is no coercion. It is sort of the... We're just equals and colleagues just talking about it and making, you know, like an agreement without the threat of violence behind it, right? Coil is like, just name your price. We'll work together. I want to, you know, like the fantasy that he's offering them is like, we're just business people. We're not capes, you know, like who are just going to beat each other up to get what we want. And so there is a little bit of like watching this be so pathetic underlines that theme that Taylor without power looks so naive in this moment, right? Like kind of what we're saying is because Taylor can't be a credible threat or can't, you know, like there's basically she's powerless, and we're saying that's why we're criticizing her, right? Like, of course this isn't going to work, right? Like you can't just go and ask for what you want. And so I do like thematically the juxtaposition of those three conflicts and how unsatisfying, naive, undecisive the final one feels.
You know what it feels like? More than an abusive relationship, it feels like someone who's gotten into debt. And, I mean, she does, she's in immoral debt.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, I will do whatever I need to forever to get rid of this first debt. But, like, what she needs to keep doing, like, she's just going to keep getting into more and more and more debt in order to pay off this first one maybe someday.
Yeah.
But she's just going deeper into a hole.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it's really horrifying.
It's a little bit like Gru's expressed philosophy where he's like, yeah, well, I care about my sister and my team a little bit, but like, like I can't worry about everyone. Yeah. And Taylor's kind of like, Dinah is my sister now, right? Like, and actually I only care about Dinah. And
it's a huge problem.
It's also funny. We'll talk about the whole Dinah's, prophecy type of thing, but like, Taylor does not react to that emotionally at all.
That's true.
And so in a chapter where we learn like, oh my God, there's this world-ending threat, Taylor's like, I'm going to save this one girl. Right? Which is, it's just such a, like, I don't necessarily even think it's that intentional of a, like, I don't think that just juxtaposition is like designed to make Taylor look bad, but it does kind of make her look bad.
I mean, it's kind of like what I was thinking at the end of Arc 8 where I was like, what's her goal going to be? Can she bring down the Endbringers? Ugh, I guess she probably can't, but maybe she's going to bring down Coil. It's like, no, she's just going to rescue Dinah. Bring down Coil and Dinah can go free.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Have bigger goals, Taylor.
Yeah. The other thing that I'll say towards Taylor's long-term planning is she notes that with Coil's plan for them to hold territory, they're getting split up.
Yeah.
And she does acknowledge, like, I've been hoping to make things better on the team, and this is going to make it harder. Right? So, like, I don't know, maybe she just wants them to be friends again. But it could also be, like, the sort of, if I need to win them over, I'm going to need to prove myself to them, and... so maybe she's keeping an eye on that as well.
I mean, I hope so. I really hope she has at least one other plan going on. Oh, speaking of another plan, I did have a thought, because I'd been asking, like, why are they going to get this data? Couldn't they send Shadowstalker in? Couldn't they have Chariot do it? I assume Coil already tried all those things.
Oh,
and Dragon always catches whoever gets the data.
Yeah.
And in order to escape, you have to have the full Undersiders team.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, right. The easy way was tried in a different timeline.
Right. And because it's like a lot of complicated data and not like one piece of information, it can't be like, oh, I got the data, I'll call you. Okay, cancel the timeline now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And
so, okay. It does
make sense. We did get
another
sort of like logistical thing of, we were like, well, why not have Shadowstalker as a long-term mole? And just like, that's just not how Regent's power works. Right.
Right.
They have less than a day because,
unless he wants to pull an all-nighter.
Yeah, exactly. I like that idea that Coil tried it a bunch of ways.
I'm sure he did, because there's no way his first plan was, let's send the whole Undersiders team into the Ward's headquarters.
Yeah. I do, though, like, I'm really curious, like, what use will the data about the Slaughterhouse 9 be? Like, his stated goal is, well, I just want to know what my teams are up against. But he already kind of knows, like, he doesn't need the data for Dinah to tell him they're going to kill all your guys, right? Like, so, like, maybe, I help identify weak points, a tattletale looking at that, like... It doesn't sound like the plan is to take out the Slaughterhouse 9.
No.
I guess if they decided to make a new home base in the city, then Coil would have to figure out a way to deal with them. So, like, maybe that's what's going on. But yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. Should we talk about the Slaughterhouse 9 and how apparently Jack Slash is going to end the world?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think those are two different topics. Do you want to go to the end of the world?
Let's talk about the end of the world.
Yeah. I mean, what? Like,
apparently no matter what in 15 years. And it's, the intensity varies. Well, 15 years if Jack Slash gets killed.
So, like, what was your reaction to this revelation? Like, how did you feel?
It feels like an escalation of the Endbringer thing, where like, oh, this is so much bigger than anything that's happening in this city. Oh, is this the scale of the story?
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of feel like when you drop something like this, it has to be.
Yeah.
But it also felt so emotionally disconnected from the rest of the chapter that like you can almost forget that it happened.
Yes.
You're like, oh, right, the world is going to end. Wait, what?
Well, I think that's what the silence, right? Because like with the Endbringer sirens, everyone's immediately fight or flight, like okay, like we're probably all going to die, but at least, I have to act, if
immediacy.
Right. If there's a chance. And this is like, oh, this is years away.
We don't know what
Nothing you
it
really
is.
do in the near term will matter. And
Except
also,
that maybe we need to kill Jack Slash.
right. And also that buys you, 14 years at most or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's 2 years.
2 to 8 years from Jack.
Yeah, but 16 if not.
Yeah.
Right. So and everyone's just in shocked silence after.
Yeah.
Like they don't panic, they don't cry. They're just. It's like it's almost like it does not compute.
Yeah. It's too big. Yeah.
Right.
So I was thinking about okay, what kind of apocalypse are we talking? Because
Sure.
it's something that Jack Slash triggers.
Sure.
But something that can happen, and in fact will happen without him, even if he's dead. There's, a lot of candidates. We know he doesn't slice the planet in half. But
Right. Tattletale jokes about that. And Dinah says, nah, it's not that.
Meteors from space, some sort of disease, climate crisis. Nuclear crisis is probably the easiest one for a single human to trigger. But I feel like it's gotta be, we have these 3 characters called Endbringers.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's gotta be them bringing the end.
Yeah.
Something about them or something that they are heralds of, forerunners of, representatives of is going to happen and the whole world will end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have more refined guesses than that.
Yeah. It makes sense. The Endbringers are already very apocalyptic.
They're already trying to destroy things all the time.
Yeah.
If they somehow manage to... I don't know if it's there's something coming behind them that is going to destroy everything, or is it Jack somehow harnesses them and sets them up the world and takes Scion out?
Yeah, exactly.
If Scion is gone, do the Endbringers just destroy the world?
Right. Interesting.
Because does anything ever drive them away? Do the heroes, do the Capes ever hurt them badly enough without Scion? I guess maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, because Scion, they weren't sure if Scion was going to show up, so...
Right.
Yeah.
The plan A is to do enough damage. Like that was Armsmaster's whole plan, was he was like, I'll be the one to do it.
Right, but Armsmaster was also delusional, so...
Right. Yeah.
He wasn't actually delusional about this, but I think he did want to do something that had never been done before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
He thought he could kill Leviathan.
Right.
Which Tattletale says would not be possible. Even a small bomb would not be enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the Endbringers have to be central in whatever this doom is.
Yeah. I'll say the sort of what is the story about question, my answer was sort of knowing the stakes of the story, and I feel like that gets answered with the Endbringers. But I also feel like this chapter is another one people might point to say this is how bad it could get.
Yeah,
right?
But what role is Taylor going to have in preventing this? We don't really have any details about what this is, or jumping ahead a little bit to predictions, is the next few arcs just going to be her working for Coil and trying to do a good job? That feels unsatisfying to me. I'm sure if that's the way it goes, it won't feel unsatisfying to read because I trust Wildbow to do that well, but I don't want to just see Taylor working for Coil right now.
Yeah. Say more about your hopes, or kind of
it just feels very anticlimactic for her to be I need to be better. I'm going to work for one of the guys I want to be better than.
Yeah.
It seemed like she was sort of breaking free, or about to break free from this sort of trap that she had been in. The Endbringers really busted everything wide open, or just the one, bust everything open. And it feels like such a step backwards for her to just be complicit in what Coil's doing. It feels like the kind of thing, it was what I was predicting for after arc 6 or whatever, when Coil first made his proposal to them and they hadn't met Dinah. I was okay, yeah, maybe she works with Coil until they take out Empire 88, and then maybe she does just learn bad things about Coil and has to turn on him. But she learned bad things about Coil right away. But then somehow we circled back to but she's still going to work for him for a while. It doesn't feel like the right next step for her. It feels like she's already had the revelations that should break her out of that.
Yeah. I do wonder, hearing you talk about, though, there's something that feels very realistic psychologically about that push and pull. If you have this bright moment of clarity narratively, you do want that to be something that gives the character momentum and propels them forward, right? But if what we're seeing in this arc is sort of Taylor having had a moment of clarity, but now being really lost and sort of struggling to find her footing, perhaps the rationality of, I can't do this alone. These are the people who I know I can work with. So I got to work with it. I got to go in their first job. I got to, and then being put face to face with Dinah again and dealing with how much of a step back it feels, even after having had that sort of bright moment of clarity.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just really rebelling against that story structure.
Yeah.
I really don't want that. It's you're right that it does make some psychological sense, but lots of things make psychological sense and don't work well in stories.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of intense emotional revelation can kind of devolve into discouragement and, uncertainty again and feeling lost. But I feel like you have to pursue it for a while before you get there. And this feels too soon to have stumbled back into cloudiness after that revelation. It keeps making me think of, I know you haven't seen season 7 of Buffy, but one of the things I hated about it was that there were a lot of kind of dysfunctional things on the super team, the Scoobies in that season. And there kept being moments where Buffy would give a dramatic speech, but then nothing would change.
Yeah.
And it really didn't work story-wise.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit this isn't really to that extent, but that is sort of the idea that I'm grappling with. Okay, but is she just making this huge moral compromise after having said she needs to be better? What is she doing?
Yeah.
I want her at least to try for longer to be better. It doesn't seem like she tried anything. It seems like she immediately decided I need to compromise and become complicit.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if that's the full story, but I want her to try harder at being better before she realizes that actually she's failing and maybe has a low point or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it occurs to me that the distance that was established with Taylor, just taking a break for so long, really has robbed us of following her on whatever journey she's on. So it's we're definitely in this position now of are we being cut out of the loop, or are we meant to be really just taking Taylor seriously with what she's, kind of thinking and feeling right now? Mm-hmm. And I do feel like drawing out that tension is very intentional on Wildbow's part. I also suspect that kind of narrative tension is going to be very exaggerated by podcasting about it.
Right. I'm not zooming through this section.
Right. Whereas we don't have the luxury of the narrative momentum of just stuff is happening. And you're well, Taylor, what do you we're not... When you read Worm, you're not usually stopping at the end of every chapter to be come on, Taylor, but how much better than Arms Master were you in that chapter? Right.
Right. And I do know that the narrative keeps secrets, so I'm hoping that we will.
But I also think
more going on.
This is also the arc where we get Regent controlling Shadowstalker, which just feels like a huge villainous escalation of what the Undersiders are willing to do. It really feels we definitely saw, I forget if it was arc 5 or arc 6. I think arc 6, where Taylor's stepping deeper into the darkness or something, and then she gets tempted by Coil's offer and all that. And so I feel what's changed, right? Taylor's been willing to justify doing bad stuff, but we really trust her moral compass. And it feels what's missing here is that moral compass is breaking down. Honestly, now that I'm saying that, I don't even mean it's in part her moral compass. We're sort of you're really prioritizing Dinah over
the entire
the city
world,
or whatever, right? But a little bit is also how reasonable she is, right? She's I'm carving out Lung's eyes because he'll be less effective, right? And here it just feels so impotent.
Yeah.
And we're kind of Taylor, you're supposed to be such an awesome, badass protagonist, and here you are flailing around and not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, like, that's a little bit... It's like giving us narrative license to start judging her. Because it's like, as long as she's, like, kicking ass and taking names, we're like, yeah, of course, justify whatever you want, Taylor. And here we're like, come on. We see this isn't going well for you.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, yeah. Should we talk about Regent?
Absolutely.
All right. Actually, I feel like what we learned about him in this chapter has given me a little bit more respect for him.
Oh my God. Tell me more.
So apparently what he is used to in his childhood, or, you know, I guess his adolescence after he got his powers, is having 3 puppets completely under his control all the time. And I guess, you know, maybe shared with his sister or something. But, like, the fact that he could be living like that, and instead is like, you know, maybe he's kind of lazy and he watches TV and he is a villain, but, like, he's also not doing or trying to do anything like that. I'm like, oh, he might actually be, like, making some deliberate choices to be a better person.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not practical for him to have, like, 3 people constantly controlled at this point, but, like, he did choose to leave that lifestyle.
Right.
And is living a very different life, even if maybe not a great one, but, like, so much better. I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe he's on an upward trajectory.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, it is fairly horrifying, though.
I thought it was interesting, Taylor and Regent talking about the fucked upness of what he's doing. So Taylor's like, this is pretty fucked up, the mind control. And he's like, actually, it's body control. And Taylor's like, whatever, semantics. But, like, so when Regent corrects her, it's like, is he sensitive about it? Because he's like, no, it's not mind control. We're like... But, like, his tone of voice is completely flat because that's who he is.
I think he was a little defensive.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it sounds defensive, but he doesn't have any defensive-ness in his tone because he never has any inflection. Yeah, exactly. So, like, I was very interested in that. And then when I hear Taylor saying, it's pretty fucked up, I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't be, you know, controlling someone else's body. And then Taylor says, people are going to respond to that. It might be the kind of nudge they need to start responding to us with lethal force. And I'm like, oh, she's just making an optics argument, right? Like, so, like, maybe it's the, like, knowing her audience. But this is another instance in the chapter where I'm like, Are you like slipping down that slope a little bit here as well? Like you've already moved past the, like, more fundamental fucked upness of a few hours ago?
I don't think we have really evidence of that because I think she is trying to make an argument to a specific audience. I do think that Regent is understandably offended when she's like, it's also fucked up. And he's like, you said you were all in. Like, wait, why are you putting this on me when you signed on for this plan, basically? Yeah. And also, why are you arguing with me when I'm already saying the thing? I know.
I loved that Taylor's, like, berating him. And he's like, no, I agree. Like, stop, please. Like, we don't need to fight about this. That is an interesting thing, though. Regent using the phrase all in. Cuts against the idea that it's a catchphrase between, or like a secret passphrase between Lisa and Taylor. So I was disappointed to see that.
I know.
What do you think about the resolution here with Sophia?
It's interesting. I don't know if this is the final resolution. I found it as a reader to be pretty satisfying because Sophia sucks so much.
Yeah.
And she's been making Taylor's life so miserable. And now she's actively trying to kill Skitter. And this does feel like a very concentrated payback. Like, I think I said this, you know, maybe last time, that, like, she tormented Taylor for, like, 1.5, 2 years. And this is a very concentrated dose of that torment over, like, half a day or whatever.
Yeah, hours lived. Taylor probably has more.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I mean, I think what Sophia's going through is worse, but, like,
Right.
And potentially kicking her out of the city, which is the outcome that we want for Taylor because it means she could potentially work with the wards in some way. It means that she won't have to watch her back all the time for a shadow stalker coming for her. It means that if she somehow ends up back at school someday, the bullies won't be there. Like, it is the outcome that I emotionally want for the Taylor-Sophia situation.
Yeah.
And it's also deeply horrifying But I'm still mostly on the side as a reader of like, oh yeah, she deserves this.
Yeah, yeah.
This thing where like once Regent learns you, he can just control you at any time is like absolutely would paralyze you with fear. Like, yeah. Either that or you just get so angry in response to the fear that you would become like destructive and non-functional in that way. Like I hope that they transfer her. Like that would be the only reasonable course.
Yeah. If she doesn't just flee.
If she doesn't just flee. That's true. She might just run away because she doesn't like being part of the wards. So
well, what I was going to ask is the part that I felt a little bit surprised by is Regent has his whole speech to her and she runs off. Or I guess he's going to escort her to the city lines or something. So
yeah, I wasn't sure if he was just making her go or if he had to bring... the range was unclear.
Right, but she doesn't leave under her own control. Correct. He's like, I'm going to walk you to the border. Right. But Regent's like, was that good enough? And then Gru's like, she might be mad enough to come after someone else in our group. But yeah, good. So like, I was wondering though, like, knowing what we know about Sophia, is it good enough? I would be paralyzed by fear. But we've had a couple of beats in the story of like, you do violence to somebody, you cannot control their response, right? Yeah. And so...
I mean, when I said or you just become so angry, you're just destructive and of everything, that's more of Sophia's response. Like, I think for her, running away would feel emotionally worse than lashing out. So actually, now that I'm thinking about it, she'll probably try for revenge.
Yeah, so could be bad.
Especially because they're all living separately now. Yeah. Which seems terrible.
Yeah, it's like you kind of want, if you're afraid of Shadowstalker coming after you, you kind of just want to hang out at Regent's place.
Yeah, definitely. But if Shadowstalker is at all smart, she will make sure Regent doesn't wake up before she attacks you. Right. Yeah, he's got to sleep, right? Yeah. Yeah, so... If Shadowstalker were better friends with the other wards, she could probably get them to work with her to take him out. Yeah. Because she's not, it would have to be like an official wards operation.
But I don't, I guess here we're getting to what Regent says to her, right? It's sort of like, he makes the threat of like, I totally dominate you, right? In a rock, paper, scissors match, I always win, right? Like, I'm just going to beat your power now that I've done this to you. And I will make a nebulous threat that if you give me another chance, I'm going to do something even worse to you. And counting on that being enough to end the story once and for all. And I feel like what is being invited by the situation is like, okay, well, if you're right, that's great. Mm-hmm. If you're wrong or you believe that you're wrong, does that just incentivize you to murder her? Like, does it, like, what's the...
Or her to murder you.
No, of course, right. Yeah. But it's sort of like the, once it's gotten this far, the best outcome is sort of like if she just does what Regent says, right? But...
I think she's unlikely to do that without trying to fight back first.
And I think this is just very thematic to Worm of like, you have a lot of powerful people and the
control the other ones.
The step below total domination is, coercive threat of violence, and people fight that. And that's very human.
Yeah. And that's very Sophia, like what we've seen. Yeah. She doesn't back down before stuff, so... Yeah. So yeah, I think that's actually not going to go very well.
Yeah, could be bad.
I think probably the best outcome is that the wards intercept her and ship her off to a different city far away. Yeah. But it's also very possible that she will kind of lash out on her own, so... Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Do you want to talk about the third face-off? Let's talk about Bitch. So this was a very, very one-sided face-off. We didn't get much from Bitch at all. We got her looking surprised to see Taylor, because she thought Taylor got blown up. Yeah. And then Taylor knocks her down.
Or at least trapped in foam.
I guess she maybe thought she got arrested. Because she didn't know the gun was going to blow up the way Tattletale did. Yeah. That's fair. She didn't think that Taylor died, probably, but she thought she was arrested. And that does seem like the kind of outcome she'd want for Taylor. Taken into custody. A terrible fate. Yeah, she gets knocked down, and then Taylor manages to get the baton across her mouth so that she's being held down. She can kind of, she hurts Taylor at one point, and Taylor then moves so she can't do it again. But she can't talk because Taylor has a baton across her mouth.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't talk at the end. She just leaves.
Yeah.
So mostly what we get is Taylor's deal, which is such a Taylor deal.
Yeah, say more.
She's so someone who is cut out to be the heart of a group. Like, she is aiming for reconciliation, and she is not being soft about it. Like, she's beating bitch up while she does it. And she's like, if you try anything else, you better kill me because I will do so much worse.
Yeah.
But her goal is, we need to work together, and now we should be even. And I will even be your friend.
Yeah. You know, I hear what you're saying, but I disagree.
Really?
I think that it is bizarre and like so condescending to be like, hey, I just humiliated you. I threatened you. I said the meanest thing I could think of to say to you in this moment.
Yep.
And then I've said I'm better than you. I said, come at the king, best not miss. And then I said, like, but you know what? Let's turn over a new leaf. We're going to be teammates. And you know what? I'll even be your friend. Right? Like, I do believe that Taylor wants them to get back to the way they were. Mm-hmm. But I do not believe that Taylor in this moment is speaking from the heart. Like, to me, this is so angry and so, why won't you just listen to me and do everything I say? That it's just so hard for me to imagine. But that's very Taylor too, right? Of course it's very Taylor too. Yeah. I'm not saying this is out of character. I just feel like I would find what Taylor says, the words that she says, incredibly humiliating. And I don't believe that in this moment Taylor understands it will be received that way.
That might be true.
To be spitting out, I'll even be your friend.
I guess I'm not saying she's necessarily doing a good job of it, but that she's aiming for the group being cohesive.
I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that.
But also, I'm trying to think about, bitch respects shows of dominance. Bitch also she doesn't really trust people, but she does want words to be clear. Like, she has the sort of dog autism thing going on that we've talked about where, I think saying things to her in word, stating your intentions. Yeah. And then, you're gonna have to prove that you'll follow up on them, and she's not gonna be ready. She's not gonna readily believe that. But, I think the fact that Taylor is clear about what she ultimately wants and doesn't just leave it at, we're going to call it even and then sort of slowly try to create a friendship. I think her saying up front, we're going to be teammates. I'm going to treat you as a teammate and I'll even treat you as a friend. I think it is very important to, give her that level of clarity.
That is helpful. That is helpful pushback. And I think that's right. I think that Taylor is acting pretty rationally with her understanding of how bitch behaves and understands the necessity of sort of dominance and hierarchy to making the team work. I do think that this is something that Taylor invited herself with her whole "I deserved that" act. Yeah. 3 days ago. Sort of
I think this is what she's trying to correct it now. Exactly,
but I do think Taylor bears some responsibility because she made herself look so weak that bitch was willing to pick her off, and so coming back into the Undersiders and being and fighting for status, maybe that would have turned off Brian and Alex so much that it wouldn't have worked. But I do feel like she, if we are saying she's doing a good job now reestablishing dominance over bitch, it was a big mistake and a failure as the heart to let herself get so, beat up when she was coming back hat in hand.
Right. I mean, she was really trying to take I need to be different than them, which means swallowing my pride, which, maybe not the right lesson to learn.
Yeah. But I think my, really negative interpretation of I'll even be your friend, it's so hard for me to come back from the moment when she's like, I'm just going to say something in bitch's ear and I'm going to make it super personal. Calling her a wuss and a weakling, being like, I know that this is going to keep you up at night, you know, like just knowing.
That's true. That is really closely juxtaposed with like, and I'm going to be your friend.
Right. So like, it's so cruel. It's the kind of thing a bully would say. It's also using her understanding of bitch's psychology in an antisocial way. Right. So it's really tough to be like, well, she's just being strong because she has to be, you know, around
Yeah,
bitch.
no, she's also very angry.
Right. And it's just, so like, it crosses a line for me that she's twisting the knife, you know, like, I guess it feels a little bit like I'm nitpicking to say that's like, yes, physically dominating her, telling her behavior was bad, and then like making a deal with her, fine.
But you
and
think
like
that
maybe
this should haunt you, that you were weak and I was strong.
Like that's like really, you know, that's the extra stuff here. But I think it doesn't need to be a sort of like good play style. What are the pluses and what are the minuses? Let's add it all up. I think the point is that Taylor feels comfortable doing this. And she feels comfortable, right? She knows how to get what she wants, which is to dominate bitch again. And I think it being so easy makes it also easy for her to twist the knife a little bit. I think that's what we're seeing from Taylor here.
Yeah. She really didn't have trouble in that fight.
Yeah. And that's also like taking a step back, and you know, this is sort of a big pivot. The fact that the Undersiders totally beat the Protectorate in this chapter, it gets yada yada. Like Taylor's like, oh, Miss Militia's here and her thing doesn't work on my bees, and
but it's
you know,
4 members of the Protectorate.
Yes, the whole Protectorate.
And there are 7 of them, and Taylor and Tattletale run away. And, yeah.
But so to me, there was a little bit of like, I was like, really? Like what? But the effect that it had was, I feel like coming into this arc, right, I was still at the position of like, oh my God, you know, Leviathan, everyone's so fragile, anyone could die at any time, right? And like, oh, well, the Undersiders, they're not as big of a deal for the PRT as, you know, the ex-Empire 88 people and the merchants and stuff. The Undersiders can lay low, that's fine. You know, we saw the Travelers beat the Wards, you know, pretty well.
The Travelers are tougher than the Undersiders,
right?
Yeah.
But then this arc, it's like, oh, no, okay. Like, what this arc is saying is that the Undersiders can do this all day, right? Like, they got lucky, but, like, the Undersiders are now at a level of, like, Wards aren't a threat. Protectorate isn't a threat, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, and there is a little bit of softening, like, well, when the Protectorate gets a few more members, it won't be so easy. It's like, oh, well, when Dragon, you know, has like more mechs or whatever, it wouldn't be so easy. Or like, you know, and as Taylor alludes to, if we start body controlling everyone, they're going to, you know, come at us with lethal force, right? Like, then it won't be as easy, right? But it feels like very much like the status quo we are getting reacquainted with is actually like the Undersiders can do whatever they want, right? Like, who can beat them? Yeah. Maybe Purity's team, because like that's the true. Part of Empire 88 that they lost to back in Arc 7. And yes, and then of course we are now being introduced to, you know, there are new people in town, and we've been given worse odds than we had in Leviathan of like, it's like a 50% chance, 60% chance that somebody dies if you try to engage and fight them.
And 60% chance that they're going to encounter them. So
that's what it was.
That's almost definitely going to happen. It was like
they're definitely going to encounter them, and then there's a 50% chance that someone's going to die if they fight.
That they die, so it might be all of them.
Yes. I thought that was one or more, but I guess it was unclear.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are going to encounter them. Why introduce them if we're not going to encounter them?
We don't have to go through all the members of the Slaughterhouse 9, but like, did you have any standouts, impressions?
There were so many of them. I don't understand how the person's body works, where it's like his joints are all like balls and chains or whatever. Like,
yeah, well, he's
a tinker with a proclivity for body modification.
Yeah. His different body parts are like segmented and then only connected by chains. Yeah. Right. So,
but I don't understand how he's alive.
Like, yes. Yeah. I thought you meant you didn't understand what it was.
I just don't understand how.
Yeah.
The one I was really intrigued by, which we didn't really hear much about, was Shatterbird.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to ask you about.
Said she usually used her power as the 9 arrived in a city to maximize panic and terror. I suppose they were flying under the radar for now. And then Taylor says she'd have to do something about her costume, just in case.
What do you think? Any theories?
So she's like a bird-ish. Does she control spider silk? Why would a bird control spider silk?
I don't know. Are there any other relevant costume facets?
There's the like...
Certainly, what could Shatterbird's power
armor
be that was more relevant to maximizing panic and terror in a city? You know, there's probably not a lot of spider silk in the average city.
But maybe it's sentient spiders. Maybe she just controls spiders. Why is she called Shatterbird? I don't know.
All right, yeah.
I haven't really put it together. It's intriguing.
Yeah.
I realize you're trying to lead me to something, but I don't know. It's probably something really cool, but I don't know what it is.
That's okay. It'll be exciting if maybe we'll never meet Shatterbird.
We're gonna meet Shatterbird.
Yeah, you mentioned that Jack is like sort of the ringleader, like the one who knows how to manipulate people, or just like he's charismatic enough to kind of keep them in line. And even so, there's high turnover. There's a lot of recklessness, infighting, and showy displays. The heroes do go after the Slaughterhouse 9 with lethal force. But then there was also this bit. The other one that jumped out was Bonesaw. In addition to being somebody who somehow is like working with Mannequin on whatever his deal is, Bonesaw was like some kind of artist, as psychopaths went.
Yeah, what did that mean?
The sort of person that drew other lunatics to her just because they wanted to see what she would do next. And she's the one who's like Dinah's age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Imp's age.
Yeah. Wild stuff.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the other motif in the chapter?
Yeah.
Her foamed glove.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we get it's a 3-beat
Her hands are dirty.
Her hands are dirty, right? So the residual foam on her glove
foam
makes her hand sticky as she grabs her baton, right? So there's also,
violence
in addition,
is sticking to her.
Exactly. Once she picks up the baton, she literally cannot take it out of her clenched fist. And that bit you called out, this is another, I don't know if this cuts against Lisa and Taylor being on something together, but Taylor doesn't explain the bitch thing to Lisa. She's just like, yeah, the real problem was... And then they sit in silence
for 10
minutes. And Taylor thinks, I still had the baton in my hand. The residual containment foam meant I'd probably have to peel the glove away from the weapon. I clenched the weapon tight. So yeah, she can't let go, right? And she could take this time to unclench, but no, she's waiting because she knows as soon as she sees bitch, she has to throw down. And then at the very end, she thinks the containment foam, it's annoying. I wondered if I could scrub it off. When I peeled my fingers away from the glove, I realized my hand was shaking. I took a deep breath to calm my nerves. I could do this. Whatever I had to do, I was going to help that girl.
Aim higher, Taylor.
So is she struggling with her powerlessness, right? So like, taking the glove off, finally letting go, unclenching, right? It's like...
I think she's also struggling with, the dirty hands metaphor, like what she has to do, what she has to immerse herself in.
Yeah.
In order to do this.
And I think it's a little bit of like, she is most confident and in control when she's, knocking bitch down, putting a baton in her teeth and telling her like it is. Right. Yeah. And so like, what the glove thing indicates is that it's a coping mechanism for her insecurity, right? Like if she's not holding a baton in her fist, her hands are shaking.
It's shaking, yeah.
And so, yeah, as hard as we're being on Taylor for her choices, there is a very understandable person struggling here, right?
Yes.
She's not cackling in her villainy, ... yet.
No, that's definitely true.
One other thing I wanted to call out of the sort of protectorate is not a threat right now thing is when Taylor's thinking about it, like, well, they could use lethal force, it's even funny because she's like, oh, I got shot. And Gru's like, what? She's like, non-lethal, I think. Right? Like, it is a little bit of a character moment for Taylor too. It's sort of like Taylor is always underestimating herself or like doesn't think anything of it. And it's not until I take a step back and I'm like, oh my God, they're so effective, right? So like, it's not surprising to me that Taylor doesn't give herself credit. Like she's never going to leave this fight and be like, I can take on the Protector anytime I want. She's going to be like, yeah, but they're going to hire someone and then we might lose, right? Like, so that's just how she reacts to these kind of things. I did want to point out with the Rachel thing, right? One thing that she does do is she does not go after Rachel until she has the luxury of doing it later, right? It's arguable that she didn't have to do this dominance fight immediately, right? She could have waited for things to de-escalate more. She could have gotten the others on side or whatever, but she doesn't do it in the middle of the fight, which is actually better than what Rachel did.
Yeah, that's true.
And the point that she scores on Rachel about the hypocrisy of the betrayal is, like, you know, pretty excellent. I do wonder, though, like, is all that Rachel did wrong, like, getting unlucky? Like, in Rachel's mind, like, Taylor was on the bottom of the ladder waiting to be kicked off. And so, like, if she'd gotten stuck in the foam, it's almost like Rachel would have been justified, right? It's like the fact that Taylor fought her way out and lived to beat her down another day.
Yeah.
Like, in Rachel's logic, that, like, that's fine, right? Like, it's sort of like you sort of accept it. And that also reminds me of, like, what Armsmaster did. It's like trying to let people get murdered by Leviathan in order to kill Leviathan is wrong. Unless you get away with it.
Unless you kill Leviathan. Yeah.
So I feel like there's a little bit of that here where it's sort of like, you know.
Yeah, Taylor was just being tested. If she was good enough, she'd live.
Exactly. So like, you know, I don't know. I do think it's hypocritical, but I also think what Rachel did is not entirely irrational given the haste with which the Undersiders were thrown back into this, you know, configuration when like her vote got overridden, right? Like she should get a say. And, like, honestly, I don't think Taylor's done enough to, like, prove her, you know, like, it's, you know, I don't necessarily know that Rachel was being clear-headed. It feels very opportunistic, but there's a certain rationality to it, you know, to her going after Taylor. On the other hand, she does say that thing of, like, this is Omar's quote from The Wire. You come at the king, you best not miss. It's like, oh, you want to try that? You better make sure that you really do it. And
next time she better plan.
And that's where like, Regent doesn't say this, right? But that's the same threat Regent makes, right? He's like, you come at me, I'm going to beat you every time.
Yeah.
Unless you come at me so well that you kill me, right? Like, where you beat me, right? So, like, it is the same kind of dynamic that we're setting up here, where Taylor's like, I'm going to call the shots here. You have to do everything I say, and you can be my friend, which is, like, to me, still a crazy thing to say in this way at this time.
I'm realizing that Regent must sense other people's nervous systems the way Taylor senses bugs.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, he kind of said that with regard to Dragon.
Exactly.
He's going to be able to be like, oh, there's Sophia, or Shadowstalker.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, Taylor does try to de-escalate, right? Her thing of, like, but I know that me, you know, holding the threat of violence over you, or, like, this dynamic is unsustainable, so, like, I'm going to put myself in vulnerable situations and just trust that you won't beat me up, right? So she does try to de-escalate, but, like, I feel like it doesn't work because the threat is so much more salient, right? Like, it's like, I'm going to make myself vulnerable to you, so you can push me into some containment foam again, you know, but she got out of it and just, like, beat her, you know, like, there's a little bit of, like, is it kind of like mutually assured destruction, kind of? Like, they can be equals and they can both destroy each other, but they know cooperation is better. Like, it's... Taylor has said that she's not about an eye for an eye, but this is, like, a slightly different... Maybe it's like a tit for tat strategy, which is, like, in game theory, it's like, in the context of a repeated game, you just cooperate with people, and if someone betrays you, you betray them the exact same amount. And once you have made it even, then you can go back to cooperating, right? And so, like, that's like logically what she lays out here. It's just unclear if it will. It's unclear to me if Taylor has successfully made that point.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's tough with them living in different places.
And Bitch doesn't show up later, right?
Yeah,
like,
true.
It's sort of like they won't have to work together now, right? So
maybe.
So Taylor's bid for, like, we can cooperate and be teammates and maybe one day friends.
But now they're living in different places.
Now they live in different places.
Seems like a bad idea.
Bitch has her own squad now. Yeah. It's not the Undersiders.
Ooh, that's true.
It is also, like, very Animorphs morality to sort of bring up all of these issues and then move past them, right? Like, you know, they talk about it for a couple pages, but then they move on because the plot has to move on. I wanted to talk about also how this makes Skitter look to the other Undersiders, right? They don't have any context for this. They all come into the room. Taylor attacks Bitch. And Taylor thinks, like, Gru and Imp are coming, but there are some bugs on them. So she's, like, in her parahuman way, just, like, ducking out of the way. She can sense their movements as they're coming for her. And, you know, she holds up her baton to, like, keep them back, right? Like, I'm going to fight you too. She uses her swarm to mask her voice from Shadowstalker, but she sounds alien,
terrifying.
right, and terrifying. And she doesn't take the time to explain. She sort of explains in the context of beating up Gru. And, like, the Undersiders stand down, but they're probably standing down because Skitter is, you know, unhinged and they don't want to also get beat up, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm really wondering how scary and out of control she appears to them in this moment. And, you know, she's using her power to avoid them. She's using her swarm voice. She doesn't explain anything. It's incredibly brutal.
But also, I feel like if they were really worried, they would try harder to stop her. Like, I think the fact that she was sitting there quietly with Tattletale and then she attacks Bitch, and, like, Tattletale knew, like, something happened. She was mad at Bitch about it. Like, I feel like they're kind of like, oh, Bitch probably deserves this.
Maybe. Or maybe they're like, yeah, well, this is what you expect from Skitter. She just gets angry and ultra-violent and...
No, they think that about Bitch. They don't think that about Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, like, Taylor gives this whole long monologue. She whispers some of it in Bitch's ear, but she does give this whole monologue.
It is intimidating, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, they don't really react to it.
Yeah.
You know, again, they just sort of, like, move on. So it is... to me, this was another scene where it's, like, just, like, how does she look outside of her head, right? Like...
This feels like something that, like, happens... The fact that they are all supervillains instead of superheroes means that, like, there isn't an immediate, like, okay, let's all calm down kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess they're allowed to fight out their differences.
Yeah, I mean, we were so mean to Brian when he pushed Bitch up against a wall.
That's true.
And said, you made me look bad back there.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, she didn't push him into containment foam.
No, but it's, I mean, you know, he doesn't have a nuanced enough grasp of her psychology to do it. But the justifications that we laid out for why it's okay for Taylor to beat up Bitch here apply just as well to what Brian did to Bitch there, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not our protagonist. He's a man beating up a woman.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, there are other things that stick out about it, but there's perhaps a lot of things in this moment that, just looking at a little dot on a page, you're like, well, that's understandable. But then if you kind of connect the dots back a little bit, you're sort of like, okay, how far have we come?
Yeah.
I did want to just talk about the setup with Coil and Dinah because I love it. Coil is awful, but they go into this, like, warehouse building.
She's his cat.
It's the James Bond supervillain thing, right? Like, and
she's even wearing, like, a white dress.
Empty office building. He's sitting in a, like, leather armchair with a little end table and Dinah at his feet. And he pets her. He grabs her jaw in this really gross, possessive way that Taylor gets squicked out about.
It's so creepy.
But, like, it's just so funny. He's the guy in a snake suit, and he had somebody carry a leather armchair into the second floor of this space just to, like, project this
about
image.
Theatrics.
Right, yeah, he's Blofeld, he's Dr. Claw, he's like every super, and he's leaning in to it.
Absolutely.
It's delightful. And the thing that I also really liked about Dinah is she's drugged up and picking at the threads on her dress. And I felt like this was a very much like, you know, she stared down at her dress, picked at a thread that was sticking out, stretching it out long. The thread snapped and she let it drift from her hand to the ground. Then she started picking at another. It's a nice metaphor for the different futures that she can see.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very...
She's very much the Fates kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very Fates kind of thing. Another beat to highlight about Taylor's morality, Gru is the one who says, oh, there's an end of the world prophecy. Maybe we should tell the heroes?
True.
And Coil's like, I'll look into it. So Gru's taking a very honorable pro-social role here. I mean, arguably, if the world's going to end, his sister's going to die too. But like, to me, it like stands out. And Taylor is silent. She's keeping
preparing for her conversation.
Right, all of her powder is being kept for the conversation later. Yeah.
If the world ends, Dinah will too.
She literally does not react to the prophecy stuff at all. Like beyond an initial like, the fuck is that? Right? Like, so you know, it's shocking, right? Like, it makes sense that you're not going to immediately focus on that.
Hard to process, yeah.
Taylor also uses her swarm voice with Coil at the end, even though Sophia's not there. So that's another like, oh, now she's kind of...
She's just being scary.
She's just being scary. That's who she is. We also got this beat of Taylor worrying about Coil knowing her identity because of the location of her base, right? And so that just made me think we have not repiloted Taylor's civilian life at all.
Yeah, true.
Very little Danny, no school.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's been some references with the Sophia stuff, but it's very interesting that it's just like we're full on, you know, Cape life. And maybe that was just a book one thing, but, you know,
we'll see.
Like Taylor hasn't thought about
Danny's
her identity at all
back.
this arc. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you know, now they're holding territory for Coil. They're, you know, trying to keep
Hopefully
control.
with an ulterior motive. I mean, other than just like work for him for years in the hopes that he releases Dinah.
Well, so do you have any other predictions, or do you want to get into interlude specific predictions?
I feel like I've predicted a lot in general. Let's talk about the interlude.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Dragon.
I love that.
It's time. I've wanted a Dragon interlude. We saw Dragon. Dragon said she'd be in touch. She told Taylor to rethink her priorities.
Yeah.
I want to see Dragon.
Now, what if I told you that due to donations, there are actually two interludes between Arc 10 and Arc 11 stacked up in a row?
Ooh.
So maybe it's Dragon next, but what if you had to pick someone else?
All right, in this entirely hypothetical situation, I guess we could see another Protectorate member and maybe get, you know, clued in on what's going on with them, since we just got all the wards, and now maybe not Miss Militia again, but I don't know.
Of the remaining members of the Protectorate, who's the one you most want to see an interlude from? Assault, Battery, Triumph.
I think we've seen the most of Battery, so I'd be the most interested in her.
Okay.
I want to find out if they're siblings or boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yes. Assault or Battery. Can you imagine if we had that interlude and it never comes up? It's just like the relationship is there, but the exact nature of it.
Exactly. Amazing.
What a troll.
All right, that's my prediction.
Great. You ready for
Yes.
the first sentence of interlude 10?
Yes.
I'm letting you go, Regent lied.
So is it Sophia's point of view, or it must be Regent's point of view? Because we already had Sophia, so we're not going to have her. Oh, we're getting Regent. I forgot about the other Undersiders in my predictions for this.
Yeah.
Okay, what a first sentence. So is he going to kill her? Okay, so he made this very credible threat that presumably was for the benefit of the other Undersiders who don't want to know. And he told her to leave.
Yeah.
So no one's going to miss her.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to kill her. Oof. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, I guess he could... No, he can't keep her around as a thrall because he has to sleep. Yeah, he's going to kill her.
Could be bad.
Yeah, wow. We'll see. I guess we'll find out if I'm correct.
I'll say to you and to the listeners, I would say buckle up for the next chapter in terms of...
Okay. Horror. Moral outrage.
Well, just, without saying specifically, it's definitely one that will stand out for those reasons.
Okay, maybe I'll wait to read it until right before we podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to rereading it and talking about it.
Oh, man. Okay, next time.
On Inchworm. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.